Today we will present about sexual harassment in a workplace. We are from Group 1. Our group members are Nurin, myself, Qadira, Anis, Shaza, Sharifah and Farah. This is our infographic. As from the human resources perspective, we have three main objectives to explain about the infographic. First, to understand more about sexual harassment at workplace. Second, to emphasize the effect of sexual harassment at workplace. Third, to acknowledge steps to handle and prevent sexual harassment at workplace. We will explain the infographic topic by topic.
So I'll be explaining the definition of sexual harassment. Sexual harassment means it's something that related to sexual stuff, and harassment means that the behavior means that it can comes in any forms, whether it verbal or actions. So when we combine the sexual harassment, the sexual stuff and the actions related to that, we call it a sexual harassment. Whether it's a sexual favor or sexual conduct or anything related to sexual nature, and when the person that received that kind of behavior feel unsafe, feeling disturbed or feeling uncomfortable, and that's what we call as sexual harassment.
Next, we move to the example of sexual harassment. For something to be considered as sexual harassment, it does not matter if the person who doing the harassment think their action is harmless, not sexual, or even welcome. It is still a harassment if the behavior is something that you do not want or something that you find offensive. It's also still count as a harassment even if in that moment you do not say stop or even something else to let that person know that what they are doing or saying is something that inappropriate. So it is count as this is what we call as sexual harassment. An example of sexual harassment including making unwanted requests for sexual favors or dates, making inappropriate comments about someone's body or appearances, making vulgar, offensive or explicit jokes about sex or sexual act. Next, making unwanted or inappropriate touching of any body parts, including clothing, face or hair. And this action including hugging, kissing or assault. Next, staring, luring or making gesture of a sexual nature also count as sexual harassment. And lastly, blocking someone's movement and displaying, sending or showing vulgar picture of or pornography is one of example of sexual harassment. This is only a few sample of behavior that can be constructed as sexual harassment at work. And there are also others behavior that also can be counted as workplace sexual harassment. The bottom line is, if someone who you work with is exhibiting a behavior, verbal or physical or otherwise that make you feel uncomfortable, you should take a step to deal with it as soon as possible.
The consequence of workplace sexual harassment can be important. Those can involve a variety of factors relating to the willingness of the victim to do work effectively. A major effect is isolation of the company, where the victim avoids work-related activities that can be characterized by lateness, absenteeism, or neglect. Plus, the victim also may leave work and go try new job because of discomfort and will result in the loss of productivity. There's also psychological effect for the victim which can define the personal effect such as grief, bad mood, or even worse, which is depression. Last but not least, the consequence of sexual harassment in the workplace is effect on a victim's physical well-being.
Step handling for individual. There are 4 steps. The first one, speak up by let the criminal know that victim find their conduct offensive. So from here, the criminal will feel a bit scared, and this also can make the victim be brave in order to get justice. The second one, follow employer's procedure for handling their claims. For company that have detailed procedure which for handling these cases, wish to handle sexual harassment claims, victim should follow it to the letter. And for company who has no set procedure in place for reporting these cases, victim should complain to the supervisor or manager at the workplace. The third one, file an administrative charge with the appropriate governmental agency. As an example, Federal Equal Employment Opportunity Commission (EEOC), which it is an employment practice where the employers do not engage in employment activities that prohibited by law. The last one, litigation by bring a civil lawsuit for any injuries suffered by victim. So this means by take legal action from the process. Those success in claiming sexual harassment, they may get amount in financial compensation, such as back pay and also front pay. Back pay includes like vacation or sick pay, and also the victim can get bonus and commissions too. And for front pay, it is for victim that lost job or had to quit because sexual harassment. So this may have the right to return victim to the former position. As an example, the position may not be available anymore, or the working relationship become too hostile for victim to return.
Next is step handling sexual harassment for the company. Firstly, the company needs to notify the board director of the company about the significant allegation. This is because the member of the board can give some useful guidelines on the challenging claim because they have more experience and knowledge in businesses. Nextly, the company should treat the complaining party with respect. This is because the employee should show empathy and concern, because even in the initial reaction can give some positivity to the complaining party. Apart from that, sufficient and immediate action should be also taken seriously. Next, the company should investigate the complaint truly and promptly. This is because the failure to react to the complaint can be a serious problem and worsen the problem and the risk of reliability. And lastly, the company should also take appropriate action about the complaining party and the harasser. The investigation can be done by giving the victim paid or unpaid leave for the work. Other than that, the company can also alter the assignment of work so that the harasser does not work directly to the victim and the complaining party. By that, this sexual harassment problem can be handled properly by the company.
Okay, so there are a few ways that we can use to prevent sexual harassment at workplace. Okay, so for the first one is provide all employees with regularly with awareness and information about sexual harassment. Okay, so by using this way, information sessions, group meetings, solving problem discussion, it will be very helpful to solve this problem. Everyone will also be aware about sexual harassment and they know how to prevent it and how to report it if they got harassed. Okay, so the next step that we can use to prevent sexual harassment at workplace is employers. Employers can take grievances seriously because when the employers when they're not take action very seriously about sexual harassment, the harasser they will never be afraid and they will do it again in the future, and the person who got harassed they will afraid and they will never report the problem again to their boss because they feel like their problem is not listened, the problem is not listened and they will just keep silent in the next time. Okay, so the last prevention step that employers and employees can use to prevent sexual harassment at the workplace is be as straightforward as needed. This means that when you're feeling uncomfortable or you feel like you will got harassed by someone, you just have to say no and just say no seriously to them and loud and clear to them so they will realize that you are not comfortable with it and they should stop doing it to you. So that's all for me. Thank you.
That's all presentation from us. Thank you for your time and attention. Till we meet again. Bye bye.